Hey viewers, welcome to African Tales by Afi. Please kindly click the subscribe button to get notified for more amazing stories. Once upon a time, in a bright and breezy apartment building by the sea, lived a young woman named Liana. Liana had just moved into her new home on the 5th floor, and though she was excited, she felt a little nervous. Everything was still unfamiliar: new neighbors, new smells, and a confusing number of doors that all looked the same. Liana was a gentle girl with big brown eyes and hair like soft caramel. She loved flowers, painting, and warm tea. But today, she was in a hurry. Her groceries were slipping from her arms, her phone was buzzing in her pocket, and her keys were nowhere to be found. "Oh no," Liana muttered, juggling a bag of apples and a loaf of bread. "I hope I didn't leave my keys in the bakery again." She glanced around. The hallway stretched quietly, doors lined up like sleepy soldiers. Apartment 5C, or was it 5D? Liana squinted. Without thinking, she pressed the doorbell of apartment 5D. Ding dong! A moment later, the door creaked open. There, standing with a curious look, was a young man. He had tousled dark hair, ocean blue eyes, and wore a soft gray sweater. He looked surprised, but not annoyed. Hello," he said, blinking. Liana gasped. "Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I thought this was my apartment. I just moved in and oh wow, I'm really embarrassed." The young man chuckled, a warm, musical sound that made Liana's face turn even redder. "No worries," he said kindly. "I'm Kai. And you must be new here." Liana nodded, still clutching her grocery bags. "I'm Liana. I just moved into 5C, at least, I think it's 5C. Kai grinned. "You're close. 5C is the next one down." "Oh," Liana groaned. "Thank you. Sorry again." "Hey," Kai said, noticing her struggling with the bags. "Want a hand?" Before she could protest, he gently took one of the heavier bags from her and walked her to the right door. "Here we are," he said, setting the bag down with a smile. Liana fumbled with her keys and finally got the door open. "You've saved me from complete disaster," she said with a sheepish laugh. Kai leaned on the doorframe, teasing, "I'll accept payment in cookies if you ever bake any." Liana giggled. "Deal." They stood for a moment in silence, both a little unsure, a little amused. "Well," Kai said, backing away, "welcome to the building, Liana." "Thank you, Kai," she replied softly, watching him walk back to his apartment. As she stepped inside and set her groceries down, Liana couldn't help smiling. It was the tiniest twist of fate: a wrong doorbell, a few friendly words, but something about it warmed her heart. The next few days passed like a sunny breeze. Liana kept spotting Kai in small, unexpected moments, by the elevator, in the courtyard, once even at the mailbox. Each time, they shared little chats that turned into big laughs. One afternoon, Liana was carrying a plant pot that was almost as big as her. It wobbled dangerously in her arms as she struggled toward the elevator. "Need help again?" a voice called. She turned. It was Kai, holding a paper bag of takeout. "I'm beginning to think you appear every time I'm in trouble," she said, smiling. He walked over and steadied the pot with one hand. "Maybe I'm your apartment guardian angel." Liana laughed. "If that's the case, I'm definitely baking those cookies." That night, she did. Big, golden brown chocolate chip cookies with a hint of orange zest, her secret recipe. She put a few in a small tin, tied it with string, and knocked on Kai's door. He opened it with a surprised smile. "For my guardian angel," she said, handing over the tin. His eyes lit up. You remembered. Come in? Liana hesitated, then nodded. Inside, his apartment was cozy and filled with books and art. A soft guitar tune played in the background. They sat on the couch, munching cookies, talking about their favorite stories and how funny the seagulls were in the morning. I like that you talk to your plants, Kai said with a laugh. Don't mock my plant babies, Liana grinned. They have feelings too. I believe you, he said, smiling gently. Something in the air felt easy and light. Neither of them said it out loud, but both felt it. Something had begun between them, something quiet and wonderful. But just as the evening settled into peace, the doorbell rang. Kai frowned, stood up, and answered it. On the other side stood a girl with shiny black hair and fiery eyes. Hi, Kai, she said, her voice sweet and sharp like peppermint. Miss me? Liana's heart skipped. Smiling. What are you doing here? Zara leaned against the doorframe, peeking past him into the living room. I just missed you, that's all, she said, twirling a strand of her hair. We used to spend so much time together, remember? Liana heard everything. Her heart was thumping in her chest like a wild rabbit. She stood up slowly, not wanting to look like she was eavesdropping, but not sure if she should leave. Kai glanced back at her, his face unreadable. Zara, he said firmly, this isn't a good time. We've talked about this. Oh. Zara's eyes narrowed slightly. You have company, I see. Liana stepped forward and offered a polite smile, even though her stomach felt like it had been tied in knots. Hi, she said softly. Zara's smile was tight. Hi. Kai cleared his throat. Zara, please. Let's not do this here. Zara sighed, but her eyes didn't leave Liana's face. Fine, she said, turning slowly. But this isn't over, Kai. She walked away, her heels clicking like tiny hammers down the hall. Kai closed the door and leaned his back against it. For a moment, the room was completely quiet. Liana gently set the cookie tin on the coffee table. I should go, she said. You don't have to, Kai replied quickly. She looked at him. That was your ex? He nodded, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah. Zara and I dated a while ago. But we broke up months back. It wasn't working. She had a hard time letting go. Liana bit her lip. She didn't seem like she wanted to stay broken up. Kai sighed. Zara is complicated. She doesn't like things not going her way. But I promise, Liana, I didn't expect her to show up like that. Liana picked up her bag and offered a soft smile. It's okay. I just think maybe I came to the wrong door again. Kai stepped closer. Liana, don't say that. You didn't do anything wrong. You just showed up in my life at a really weird time. They stood quietly for a moment. The soft hum of the music still played in the background, as if trying to fill the silence between them. Then Kai reached for her hand. Can we still be friends? Maybe more, someday? Liana looked into his eyes and nodded slowly. Just be honest with me, Kai. I will, he promised. She squeezed his hand once, then turned and walked to her own apartment. That night, Liana couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Kai, Zara, and the way her heart fluttered and sank all in the same hour. The next morning, she made herself a big mug of cocoa and sat on her balcony with her journal. She began to draw the seagulls, but all the birds somehow ended up looking like people with flappy arms and confused faces. She smiled a little, despite everything. Then there was a knock at her door. Liana opened it to find a small envelope on the doormat. No one was in the hallway. Inside was a note. I'm sorry for last night. I really liked talking to you. Dinner on Friday? Just us, no surprises. Kai. Liana smiled, her heart dancing a little. Maybe she hadn't come to the wrong door after all. But trouble was still brewing. Later that day, as she walked to the corner store, she noticed someone following her from a distance. She stopped to tie her shoe, and the person ducked behind a tree. Liana frowned. When she turned the corner, she caught a flash of long black hair. Zara. Suddenly, things didn't feel so simple anymore. Managing a small smile. Kai held up a grocery bag. Dinner ingredients. I figured we could cook something together, if you're still up for it. She nodded and stepped aside. Only if I get to choose the music. Kai grinned. Deal. Soon, the kitchen was filled with the sound of laughter, sizzling oil, and a playlist of silly songs Liana loved. They made veggie pasta with too much cheese and garlic bread that was slightly burnt, but perfect anyway. As they sat down to eat on the little balcony, Liana looked at Kai seriously. Kai, she said, I think Zara's been following me. Kai stopped chewing. What? I saw someone outside the store earlier. She ducked behind a tree when I looked. I can't prove it was her, but I just feel it. Kai's jaw tightened. That's not okay. I'll talk to her. No, Liana said quickly. That might make her worse. I want to handle it myself. I need to stand up for myself. Kai looked surprised, but then he smiled a little. You're stronger than I realized. Liana took a bite of garlic bread and smirked. Told you. The next morning, Liana made a plan. She put on her favorite blue sweater, the one with tiny flower buttons, and walked to the courtyard garden. She sat on the bench near the fountain, where she knew Zara liked to appear. Sure enough, within minutes, the girl with shiny black hair showed up. Zara strolled toward her, a smirk on her face. Didn't think you'd be brave enough to meet me. Liana looked up calmly. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk. Zara raised an eyebrow. You? Talk to me? Yes, Liana said firmly. You've been following me. That's not okay. Zara crossed her arms. And what are you going to do about it? I'm not going to play your games, Liana said. I'm not your enemy. But I won't be scared either. Zara's smirk faded a little. I know you loved Kai, Liana continued. But he ended things. You can't keep holding on by hurting other people. There was a long silence. Then, Zara spoke softly. Do you know what it feels like to be replaced? Liana shook her head. I'm not trying to replace anyone. I'm just being myself. Zara looked down at her shoes. You don't know what we had, she whispered. He used to call me his forever person. Liana nodded slowly. And now it's over. I'm sorry that hurts. But trying to ruin things won't bring him back. Zara blinked quickly, like she didn't want to cry. You're different from what I thought, she said finally. I know, Liana said. So are you. For a moment, the two girls just sat there. The fountain bubbled quietly behind them. I don't hate you, Liana said. But I won't let you scare me. Zara stood up. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I do need to let go. Liana watched her walk away, slowly this time, no clicking heels, no flipping hair. Just silence. That night, Liana told Kai everything. You stood up to her, he said in awe. Alone? I had to, Liana replied. I didn't want to hide behind anyone. Kai leaned over and kissed her forehead. You're amazing. Liana smiled. I know. They sat together watching the stars, hands touching lightly. Things weren't perfect. But they were real. And for Liana, that was more than enough. The next few days passed quietly. Zara didn't appear in the courtyard anymore. Liana no longer felt eyes following her when she went to the market or sat by the fountain. It was as if the storm had passed, leaving behind the calm of a new morning. But Liana didn't forget. And she didn't relax completely, not yet. One afternoon, as she watered her balcony plants, a small envelope slid under her door. Liana picked it up cautiously. It read, "Liana, I've been thinking a lot. You were right. I wasn't just holding on to Kai. I was afraid of being alone. I'm sorry for what I did. Truly. I'm leaving the building tomorrow. Starting fresh somewhere else. I hope you and Kai have something real. Zara." Liana stared at the letter for a long time. She sat down in her chair and folded the paper slowly. A mix of emotions swirled in her heart: relief, sadness, and a quiet sense of peace. The next morning, she went to the window and watched as Zara walked down the sidewalk with 2 suitcases and a scarf fluttering in the wind. She didn't look back. Liana whispered, "Goodbye," and meant it. Later that week, Kai invited her to the rooftop garden. It was a secret spot Liana had never seen, filled with fairy lights, soft beanbag chairs, and tiny lanterns dancing in the wind. "Wow," she said, eyes wide. "You made this?" Kai nodded, a little nervous. "It's my thinking place. I wanted to share it with you." Liana smiled. "It's magical." They sat side by side, their fingers slowly lacing together. "I'm glad we met," Kai said. "Even if it started with a wrong doorbell." Liana giggled. "The best mistake I ever made." They watched the sun set behind the ocean, gold and pink washing the sky. Then, Kai turned to her seriously. "Can I tell you something?" Liana nodded. "I was afraid to let anyone in again after Zara. I thought being alone would be safer. But then you came along, and you were different. Kind. Brave. You didn't try to fix me. You just stood beside me." Liana's eyes filled with happy tears. "You didn't try to rescue me either," she said. "You just let me be strong." He smiled. "So, would it be okay if we keep walking through life together? No pressure. No rushing. Just seeing where this goes?" Liana reached into her pocket and pulled out a tiny wooden charm, shaped like a door. "Only," she whispered, "if you promise to always knock before coming into my heart." Kai laughed and took the charm. "I promise," he said. And so, the girl who pressed the wrong doorbell and the boy with a quiet rooftop garden found something unexpected, not just love, but understanding, patience, and friendship. They weren't perfect. Sometimes they bickered about plants or how much salt belonged in soup. But they always listened. They always laughed. And whenever Liana passed 5D in the hallway, she smiled, because sometimes, a wrong turn leads you exactly where you were meant to go. Hello tribe, hope we enjoyed today's story. Please kindly put what you've learned in the comments section. Please remember to hit the like button, share this to your friends and family, as well as subscribe to see you on the next one. Bye.